Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. Let's talk about assault weapons. All right. First of all these people talking about, they're going to take away all of our guns. No, that's not. Virtually the only people talking about taking away all of your guns are right-wing extremists that are blowing things out of proportion to get you all ramped up. And no, the discussion is about assault weapons. Yes, assault weapons are a thing. We used to have a national assault weapons ban. Remember that? Some states still have assault weapons bans. You cannot ban something which does not exist. Okay? So throw that argument out the window. Now, the thing I want to get into here is, the people talking about, if the government comes for their guns, they're going to fight and they're going to defeat, militarized police with armored weapons, ballistic vests. It would take nothing for, they've got helicopter SWAT teams. It would take nothing for them to be approved to use Reaper drones if they really wanted to. If you think that's not possible, well, at one time it was inconceivable to think of seeing armored vehicles on the streets of our cities. 20 years ago, before George W. Bush, that was not a thing. We did not have armored vehicles on the streets of our cities before that. All right, so you're going to fight for your rights. You're going to fight against an authoritarian government. Let me bring up a few things. Before the pandemic, 40,000 Americans every year died because they could not afford medical care. In the past year, it's gained more attention. We've seen lines of Americans miles long waiting for food banks. But the food banks existed before that. The need for them quadrupled in the past year. But there were millions of Americans that were dependent upon food banks, and tens of millions of Americans dependent on food stamps and social assistance, even though the vast majority of them already worked full-time. But their pay was so low, they required public assistance, meaning that we are subsidizing the profits of corporations. The fact that we have militarized police is a very big issue. We should not have a militarized police force anywhere in this country. It should not be a thing. It should not exist. That's really not a thing in other countries. Yeah, they have riot police and riot gear, but what do? They use water cannons and and things like that in most advanced countries. You know, in other countries, what happened in the past year was that the government subsidized wages. That meant that they preserved jobs. And when they could reopen their economies, the citizens went back to the same job at the same pay rate. And what happened here was that our government subsidized unemployment, which incentivized corporations to lay off tens, hundreds of thousands, millions of people until we had more unemployed people than during the Great Depression. And when the jobs started opening up again, they were all low-wage jobs. You didn't go back to the same job. That job probably doesn't exist. So you wound up having to look for something at much lower wages. We pay more for defense. I've brought this up many times. When you include everything that is actually included in defense, the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, the VA, and add that to the official Pentagon budget, add that all together, and we spend more on defense than every other country on earth combined, even though we account for 4 to 5% of the world's population. The labor participation rate is at the lowest rate that it has been since the early 70s. 50 years, and we have not seen a labor participation rate this low. Our government refuses, even though the majority of Americans support universal health care. Our government refuses to even bring it to a floor vote in the Senate. Legalizing marijuana, not going to come to a floor vote, even though the majority of Americans support it. On both counts, Biden said if universal health care, Medicare for all, was approved by Congress and reached his desk, that he would veto it. Instead, he wants to bring back the ACA and expand on it, which makes it mandatory that you pay for corporate insurance. No cap on deductibles, no cap on co-payments, no limit to what the insurance companies can deny on your claims. 5,000 cities in America have higher lead levels in the water than Flint, Michigan does, which means people are being poisoned. Children, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of children go to bed hungry. Our schools are collapsing. Our infrastructure, our roads are collapsing. There was an elected representative in Georgia that was arrested for knocking on the governor's door because he was signing a bill which takes away voters' rights. And she wanted to know what was in it. We know it's been proven that there was fraud which was committed in the Democratic primaries in both 2016 and 2020. Allegedly, yes, I believe Biden was elected in the general election, but I don't discount the fact that there were questions about the election. So all of the independent media is being demonetized and even erased. We've seen hundreds of thousands of progressive, anti-war, police the police, things like this, pages taken off of social media. You virtually cannot speak about Palestinian rights at all on social media and have it not erased. So all of these rights, this is a short list. This is a very short list. All of these rights being taken away. We're dealing with, militarized police, mass hunger, wage suppression, poverty. Millions of Americans have been evicted from their homes in the past year in spite of moratoriums. Tens of millions of Americans are facing possible eviction when the moratorium is ultimately ended, which it will, I pointed out. That moratorium just allows the debt to keep climbing. Hundreds of thousands of small businesses have gone under in the past year because of lack of government support. But the corporations keep getting bigger. We have the corporations' tax breaks, which they use to buy back their own stocks, so that the wealthy keep getting wealthier. Do they use it to create more jobs? No, they do not. We have fewer jobs in America now than we did 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, we saw over 9,000 corporate retail closures, and that does not count how many small businesses went under. Over 200 trucking companies in 2019 closed their doors. So you're talking about standing up against an authoritarian government. The good guys with guns are gonna be the heroes that stand up against an authoritarian government. When are you going to do that? When are you going to be the Rambo, the hero that you are making yourself out to be? Because right now you're just a puppet. You're a puppet with a gun. That's all you are. You're hiding in your closet. You're driven by fear. You're not brave. You're not going to stand up to anything. When they come for your guns, you're going to hand them over. You're not going to be the big hero. If you do, it ain't going to be for long. And you're going to wind up taking out your entire family or other people in your neighborhood in the process. Yeah, you're a big fucking hero. If you want to stand up, now is the time to stand up, but not with a gun. Now, this is the first of a series that I'm going to do on this. At least one more video, because this is a complex subject. But nobody is coming to take away all of your guns. And no, if you hold on to your freaking AR-15, no, you are not a hero. You're holding on to that gun out of fear. But you're not trying to do anything about what is causing your fear. You're focusing on the wrong thing, and if that's the only right you care about, then you need to really examine yourself. You have things to be afraid of. All the things that I just listed are things to genuinely fear. Giving up your AR-15 is not one of them. All right, share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can, please donate $1 a month to help expand the channel, and I will catch you in the next one.